let's dive in right away and jump in. Phil Mickelson, oh my goodness, what is going on here with the Phil? And I'm a huge Phil Mickelson fan. I grew up in San Diego, and I've always rooted for this guy. I mean, everybody has been rooting for him. He has stuck, let's say, his foot in his mouth numerous times. Look, as we all have, all right? Nobody's innocent in life. We've all messed up many times. All right, he's just a lot more of a public figure. So that makes it, he's got a lot more to lose, let's say, and he's got a lot of sponsors that he has to answer to. So here's what the latest has been with this Phil Mickelson deal. We know that KPMG dumped him, and Workday dumped him. What was it, Amstel Light or Heineken or both? They cut ties with him. And most recently, Callaway issues a statement that says, we don't agree with the things that Phil has said. What we're going to do is pause our relationship, basically, is what they said. So even Callaway is distancing themselves from Phil. Now, is Phil getting a bad rap for this whole thing? Like, is he the scapegoat? Is he the guy that's he's got to fall on the sword? He's going to be the one. What is going on? Because, look, that Live Entertainment, LIV, that Greg Norman is the CEO of, which is the, piece of that Saudi golf league, right? Now, he issues a statement to the PGA Tour commissioner, basically in a nutshell saying, this ain't over. Well, this is only the beginning of the fight. We're coming at you. So you have basically, who do you think you are, telling these players where they can and cannot play, blah, blah, blah. You can go online and read the Greg Norman letter. It's out there. And what's interesting is these things only get out there if people want them out there. So, like, where does this letter is there for everybody to see. So Norman wants it there. PGA Tour commissioner probably wants it out there. Everybody wants a big public battle so it can really get a lot of publicity, a lot of who knows what. But Greg Norman is let's say Phil Mickelson's really taken the brunt of this, and Greg Norman is really highly involved and has been pushing this thing for a long time. But really, what does this mean with Phil? So Phil is getting dumped by all the sponsors. Okay. Like, if you're a sponsor, you might say, hey, dude, we're going to distance ourselves from you. And I think that the PGA Tour probably may or may not be behind the sponsors leaving Phil, meaning the commissioner, and I don't know this to be true, it's just I'm asking these questions. Is it possible that the tour, somebody on the tour, the commissioner, picks up the phone and says to KPMG, Callaway, Workday, all the sponsors, says, hey, we're not going to give you guys any time of day out here on the PGA Tour, any TV coverage, nothing from any player. We're not going to take commercials from any of you guys unless you distance yourself from Phil Mickelson. And they could potentially, are they potentially strong-arming the sponsors to ditch Phil? So the battle goes beyond just the commissioner and the PGA Tour versus Phil Mickelson, but then he's like, okay, I'm going after your sponsors, and they're going to dump you too. So I'm going to get you there, you're going to get me here, and we're just going to keep doing this little song and dance until there's a winner and a loser. Is that what's happening? Could that be why the sponsors? Because based on what Phil did and what he said, to me, it doesn't seem like it's not a cancel culture type of moment here. where Phil did something so heinously bad that he deserves to be like ostracized and sent to an island to live out the rest of his existence. He just called out the PGA Tour. It didn't seem like it was that egregious of a crime to me that warranted all this sponsorships leaving him. So that's what was crazy. Like, why is the reaction on that level so huge? There has to be more behind this story than we know. But ultimately, it's the PGA Tour really holding their ground and saying, hey, they need to flex a little bit here and say, if anybody else does this, this is what's going to happen to them, to really scare people away. That's what it seems like to me. What do you guys think? I mean, comment down below. Let me know what you think is really going on here, because there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. And we know recent reports were that Liv met with Jack Nicklaus prior to basically offer him the job that Greg Norman has, and Nicklaus turned it down. And then at the players meeting this past week at PGA National, basically the commissioner has reportedly said to every player at the mandatory meeting that, hey, there's the door. If you want to be in a different league, get out. And look, if I'm running the PGA Tour, I might say the exact same thing, and then make an example out of, unfortunately, it's Phil Mickelson, because he has been the most vocal about this. And yet, again, I just have to ask, like, is the punishment, does it meet the crime here? Does what he said and did warrant sponsors dumping him left and right? He just called out the tour. It's not like he did some horrid crime out there against another person, against society, against all of us. He just is calling out the tour for what he calls them to be greedy. And yet he's being greedy at the same time. I think we can all look at that and, as rational human beings, say, okay, what's happening, Phil? Why are you acting so crazy here? This doesn't seem like you're being greedy, and yet you're calling them greedy. And that's a lot of time, that is exactly what happens, is we say, hey, you're this and you're that, so we're going to call you out. And so that seems to be what happens. Is like, hey, if you're greedy, you say other people are greedy. And that's what it seems like Phil is doing here. And it's kind of unfortunate that is what Phil is getting kind of the bad rap for. So what should the punishment be for Phil? Well, I don't know what it should be, but I would assume he's going to have some type of major suspension from the PGA Tour. Major suspension, meaning a year or 6 months to a year. I don't believe people were talking lifetime ban. It could be. I don't think they're going to lifetime ban the guy, but I would assume he's going to have probably a year suspension. So Phil is already 51. What does this mean? Are we going to see him at the Masters? Not technically a PGA Tour event, but I don't think the Masters wants to get involved in this and entangled with the PGA Tour and have any type of issues with anybody. They don't necessarily need Phil at the Masters. So I would imagine we're not going to see Phil play the Masters. I don't think we're going to see Phil defend his PGA Championship title. How sad is that? That's just ridiculous. But it seems like he's going to have a long-term, probably a year suspension. So that leaves us to wonder, what is this guy going to do moving forward? Champions Tour, well, that's part of the PGA Tour, so we're not going to see him there. Where are we going to see Phil? And what would you do if you were Phil in this situation right now? Does he double down with the Saudi League at this point? He's kind of issued a sort of apology, and sort of meaning like, it's kind of like when my kids do something bad when they were little and they said, oh, I'm sorry that you got mad. You're sorry I got mad. No, I want you to be sorry that you threw a rock through the window. That's what you're sorry about. No, well, I'm sorry your window broke. No, that's kind of what we got from Phil's social post of his apology. Like, hey, I should be a better person. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to step away. That all means that the tour suspended me, or I'm being suspended. That's what that means. I'm taking some time to step away equals suspension. That's where I take it. So when we probably can assume he is suspended for a period of time, and I would imagine that may get longer based on what's to come in the near future. So we're going to keep an eye out, keep a lookout, keep a watch out for what's happening with Phil, with this league. But we know that from Greg Norman, this is only the beginning. And if you're Phil at this point, you're kind of, you either have to come back to the PGA Tour groveling in full-on repentance mode. I'm so sorry I made a mistake, and totally 100% distance yourself from the LIV Live and Saudi League and really come groveling. I don't think that's kind of what Phil is going to do. I think he kind of issued this statement, and now I would imagine we're not going to see him for a little bit, and then he's going to come back probably with the Saudi League. We'll see. What do you think he's going to do? I want you to leave that in the comments. And I don't know. It could be pretty exciting times here in the world.